Okay, I've had enough people ask me again, how do you get in the zone? Now, when you're reporting out in the field, what I have found is that without any extra intervention, if you're in a job that's within your comfort zone of writing, that there will come a moment when you are so bored that you're doing something so consistently within a rhythm and a cadence that that's just repetition, and you drop into alpha waves. For those of you who've seen my little video on all the different brain waves, we're up in beta waves most of the time when we're thinking, problem solving, analyzing. You don't want to analyze when you're writing, because that part of your brain, as fast as we think it is the slowest part of our processing of our mental capacity. 126 bits of information it can process per second. 126, that sounds like a lot. The part of you where you're actually writing is 2 million bits of information per second that can be processed. So that's the part you want to be writing with. And when you drop down into that, you're dropping out of beta waves and into alpha waves, and alpha waves is hypnosis. And that's also the zone where you're not consciously making it happen, you're allowing it to happen. And so you can get into that state. And a lot of people have had that experience, like, I don't know what, I got in the zone and it was wonderful. Of course it's wonderful, it's automatic. But how do we get there deliberately? I'm still working on how to explain how to do that to a working reporter. But for the rest of you, students, when you're in school, get into the practice of knowing when you're up in your chattery mind and when you're down into your knowing heart part of you. Conscious mind, subconscious mind. Subconscious is where all the programs run, all of them, the ones that help you get what you want, where you've downloaded your Steno dictionary, and some programs that are going to conflict with the other programs, because there are some programs in there from early on in your life that were trying to protect you, that came into existence, that said, you can do really, really well in school, but only to a certain point, or you can almost pass a test, but not quite. And because it may think that a bad thing is going to happen when you pass the test. Think about it. What is the thing we want to celebrate? But what is the thing that happens every time you get into a new speed? You celebrate for about 5 seconds because you don't want to jinx anything, so you don't want to celebrate too much. And then you have gone from one day being competent in that speed that you just passed out of, and today you are now incompetent in the next speed. And after a few of those happen, your brain realizes maybe passing is not a good thing, because every time we pass into a new speed, it feels awful. And that part of your brain is meant to keep you away from pain, kind of at all costs. And so to override that, you got to be aware of it. You can't fix anything you're not aware of. And so I share that with you. You are now aware of one possibility of what might be holding your brain back from passing into the next speed. But let's get back to deliberately dropping into alpha waves, because it is so simple. It's one of the elements that I use. I'm coming. I know I've got a job shortly here. It's one of the elements that I use in, there are several parts of a hypnosis session or a hypnotherapy session. The first is the induction, which is basically inducing you into a state of relaxation, getting you from busy beta waves down into awesome alpha waves, which is not you being asleep. It's the same as if you're driving down the road and you get where you're going and you sit there for a second and say, how the hell did I get here? Because I don't even remember the last 10 miles or taking that exit, because you consciously weren't driving the car. Your subconscious was, the part that has done it so repeatedly that it has become a program, a habit, an automatic thing that you do. And that's what we want to do at high speeds. And we want to be able to drop into the zone when it benefits us. For students, I would say practice getting into the zone before you start practicing so that you're in that relaxed state. There are also some other things that I share with students that I work with. One is a meditation for anchoring and grounding. And if you do it several times in a row, over several days, and then what I do is just once a week, I go in and do that particular meditation. It just kind of reminds my whole neurology that I can do this. I can anchor and ground anytime I want to. So, but the simple technique for getting into alpha waves, for getting into the zone, and you will be in the zone. Whether you stay there is another thing, because your conscious mind will try to derail you up out of it. The minute you could be in the zone, you could be in alpha waves and then sit down to practice. And the minute this part of you thinks you're stumbling, it will jump in. And when it does, boom, you're back up in beta waves. And you're back up into not reporting from the fastest part of your mental processing. So it's a practice like everything else. You're going to get good at it only if you keep practicing it. And there's part of your brain right now that says, well, that's not true, because if that was true, I'd be out of school already, because I practice all the time. I know you do. I know you do. There's just so much more going on behind the surface than the practice. And so when you're in a school and a teacher says, well, you just need to practice more. You just need to practice more. That absolutely may not be the thing you need more of. So, oh, doggies are going to bark today. Okay, so here's the thing. Aside from doing a grounding meditation, aside from doing deep breathing, slow and rhythmic and deliberate breathing, 20 minutes before you start practicing, 20 minutes before you take a test. Aside from doing that, here's the tip, and it's mostly physiological. The way you get, you've seen people like on stage where they hypnotists, and they'll come up to somebody and they'll like touch them on the shoulder or the head and they say, and sleep. And these people just like drop over. And I always thought, that's bullshit. Like, how could that happen? Except it does, because the only thing it takes to get you into a state of hypnosis is your mental capacity and your physical capacity coming into a kind of momentary conflict just for a second, to where it's disorienting to the part of you that's trying to make sense of everything all the time. And for that split second, you drop down into the only part of you that actually is real. Your knowing, your heart space, your subconscious, that part of you that is just always in the now. There's no future. There's no past. There's just the next word coming at you. And that is meditation. So how do we get into alpha waves deliberately? Glasses off so you can see my eyes. You're going to look straight ahead. And then you're going to look up with your eyeballs as high up, as far up as you can, even as if you're trying to look behind your own eyebrows, into your third eye, back into the back of your head. And as you keep doing that, it feels pretty uncomfortable. And we're going to actually stretch it and force yourself to look back into the back of your head even farther. And then as we do, you're gonna keep your eyes up. This is the hard part. This is the momentary confusing part. You're gonna keep your eyes up and you're gonna close your eyelids down right over your eyes. And then in that moment of, thank God that's over, you just relax. Whoa. I'm breathing because I'm down there. And it was disjointing for just a second. And now you're in a place. There's no chatter. Oh, there it is. Because you became aware that there was no chatter. Keep breath. Let it out. Let it go. You can stay there for as long as you want, as long as it's comfortable. Being in that. Now, there's a part of your brain that's going to say, yeah, look how slow you feel. But that's not true. That's only what your brain is telling you, because this part of you wants to be in control, and it knows that when you drop down into alpha waves, it loses its control for a moment, for an hour, for as long as you can stay in a relaxed state of focused awareness. But if you can drop into the zone when you're writing 200, 230, 240, 280 words a minute, and you can drop into the zone for extended periods of time, then it's possible to write fast in a relaxed state. You just got to practice getting into that relaxed state and overriding the part of your brain that says this is not a good thing. Well, it thinks it's not a good thing because it's not in control. So you got to tell it, hush, we're just trying something different. You know those tests you don't like me passing because then it puts me into a new speed, which feels uncomfortable? This is a thing that's going to bypass all that. Because guess what? I don't like taking the test either. But what you haven't understood yet is that I only have this many more tests to pass, and then all of this is done. The testing is over with. And now I'm out in the field, and I'm going to be doing the same thing I'm doing every single day. Every single day I show up to do this thing. Once I finish all the tests, help me pass them, okay? Once I finish all the tests, I'm going to be getting paid a lot to do exactly what I'm doing today. Isn't that going to be amazing? So help me, magic, amazing, miracle, brain. Let's get on the same team. Well, let's go over the finish line, because I understand they're having a party over there, and that's where we should be. Love you guys. Have a great day. And I'll talk to you again soon.